That's right. That's right. Some days we just start now. Some days we just start because I'm ready to go from the beginning. Welcome into the rant. I'm Pugs Moran. We do this every day around about noon. Hot topics, current events, and whatever it is that I find interesting. Come join the chat room. I don't know why I paused there. There's no reason that I paused there. Come join the chat room. It is it's a fun place. Yeah, been doing this for 5 years now. Chat room's been pretty static. It's bring your friend week to the chat room, but that's kind of an ongoing joke because, been saying that for years. Not a single new person. I'll tell you, man, if there is any reward for having like 25 super loyal people, I should win that award. Can't get 35 though. Can't make the jump. I got you folks. And you know what? That's enough for me. I love you. That's why we're here every day at noon. I'm still here, right? I mean, we've been doing this exercise in futility. Just an old man sitting out here digitally screaming at clouds on my front yard. And we're going to do more of it today because there's a whole bunch of stuff happening in the world. And I'm glad that you could join us. Once again, did I say live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios? Guys, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of stuff just here at the top that I want to rant on. But first, let's talk about the chat room, right? I mentioned the chat room. I like to reward the first 3 people into the chat room. I like to use the podium sort of thing that F1, Formula One auto racing does. We reward first place, second place, and third place. First in today, Barney. Barney is first on the podium. Second place, April. April is second on the podium. And Taronda. That's right. 1, 2, 3. It is Barney, April, and Taronda. That's your podium for today. All right. So, Dollar Tree raised their prices another 25 cents. That's right. That's right. It's now $1.50. Everything is now $1.50. Do you guys remember when it went from $1 to $1.25 and it almost wrecked me? Like 3 years ago, it almost wrecked me. And I explained to you about how inflation had risen 14%. And for a company that was basically selling everything for $1, that change of 14% in inflation, they needed to somehow make that up, lest they would start losing money. And that is not what the Dollar Tree is about. So when inflation went up 14 cents, they didn't raise their prices at their Dollar Tree stores by 14 cents, which would have kept pace. No, they raised it a full quarter. So yeah. So as inflation was going up, Dollar Tree actually decided let's make so what did they raise it? They raised it what, 125? They should have raised it to 114. Like we could all look at 114 and go, yeah, that's fair, because that is exactly what the inflation rate went up. 14. So it's 14 cents. You're gonna make 14 cents more. That should cover you, and we're all the same. No, they tacked on an extra 11 cents so that they can make it a nice 125. That's why I hate these people. Not Dollar Tree people, just people in general who do shit like that. When we, the working class, are struggling, they figure out a way to be able to make even more money. And we accepted it back then when the Dollar Tree rose to $1.25 from $1. We accepted it because there had been months of talk everywhere about inflation. Inflation's going up, inflation. So we were conditioned. It was normalized that yes, things are going up. So when they raised it to $1.25 from $1, we went, well, that's just, they've got to keep pace. None of us actually did the math, but me. They made a profit. And now it's up to $1.50. Everything's $1.50. Why? Because we all know that everything's more expensive now. I don't even know if their margins are being cut into, but they've seen an opportunity to raise their prices because the idea of all prices going up has been normalized. And here we are. So now everything at the dollar store is $1.50. Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree specifically. That's the only one I go to. I don't go to any of the other ones. I feel like the other ones are I feel like the Dollar Tree, if you got like the Dollar Tree and then you've got like Dollar General, which I really think is Dollar General worse than Family Dollar? They are both like combat zones. They are disgusting. Those stores are gross. I always say, if you live within walking distance of a Dollar General or a Family Dollar, you got to move. You got to move. Hey, you don't want to be there. Within walking distance of a Dollar General or a Family Dollar. It's probably not they are not in good neighborhoods, is what I'm trying to say. Dollar Trees are more kind of like, they're like a dollar store that's trying to be targety, trying to be we're a little cleaner. Things are out. It's still all trash. But anyway, I do prefer the Dollar Tree because I'm fancy like that. I'm not going to go to a Dollar General. What kind of people shop at a Dollar Tree? I'm a Dollar Tree guy. Fancy peasants. That's what Dollar Tree is for. $1.50. Everything's $1.50. I'm so mad at that place. That was my coffee hack. My coffee hack was buying the surplus boutique coffee that Dollar Tree stack on their shelves. The coffee that Dollar Tree stacks on their shelves is good coffee. It's typically coffee that you find in gift baskets when you get that good promo. It's all really good coffee. It's like the little bags of coffee. And they were only $1. It used to be only $1 for like 4 ounces. Some of them are 6 ounces. I'm like, my God, that's incredible. Like really high level elite coffee for like $1 simply because some company that puts together gift baskets bought too many. And now they're on the shelves at the Dollar Tree. I will say this. I got a 2-liter bottle of Coke Zero at the Dollar Tree yesterday for $1.50. That's pretty good. I'll buy that. That's pretty good. Because, even on sale, a 2-liter bottle of Coke Zero is going to be at least $2.50. Even on sale, it's usually like $3 something. So I did do that. But man, what a depressing state of affairs for me to sit here and watch Dollar Tree once again just find the loophole in our understanding and be like, well, everything is bad. But they raised it 50 cents. They're up 50 cents. Inflation hasn't gone up 50% in the last couple of years, and yet here they are. They've raised their prices 50%. We gotta keep pace. Yeah, we gotta keep pace. Gotta keep pace with what? The guy who runs Dollar General has 4 yachts, and you need a 5th. What's the other thing that bugs me? Something else was bothering me when I walked in here. Forgot what it was. All right, let's just move on. Let's say hi to the rest of the chat room. I only awarded our platform today, which is, of course, as I mentioned, Barney, April, and Taronda. Is it Friday yet? Yeah. I don't want it to be Friday yet. My kid is coming so soon. School is out today, I think, and he doesn't have football. And I honestly, me personally, as dad, I can't wait for him to get here because there's so much going on with him, and we gotta like dig into it. And I want to, anyway, here's what I'm thinking though. I am thinking because I do need, this kind of is 2 thoughts combined, but I think I'm going to do a lot of content creation with him. I think that there might be a lane for he and I together doing something. And I think it might be cool because, our conversations are typically pretty cool, I think, by a father and son standard. So we're going to record some of that stuff. I'm going to get more of our stuff together, and we'll see what that is. We'll record it. I don't know if we'll release it, but we'll see. I'd like to do something. I'd like to do something with him. I'd like to get him engaged in something, right? Out of the pad, although this is still digital, but it's creation. It's content creation. I don't know. Anyway, he's going to be here. And that's pretty much all that is just running through my mind. Let's see. What else can I give you? Mom upset. Mom's doing better. Mom's doing great. She's cranky as hell. But wouldn't you be? I mean, she's an incredibly vibrant woman who, like, for the last couple of months is really taking it on the chin. But she's getting better, and so we're excited about that. Don't want to stress her out in any way, shape, or form. Although I can't help but do that. I mean, apparently I am the, and I know I'm not exactly, right now I'm not killing it as a son, right? I'm not like, you're not bragging about me and probably haven't been for a couple of years, and that's got to weigh heavily on her. But my God, knowing that I am now causing anxiety, it's like, holy crap. And then my kid is here, and knowing that my kid is going through like, some stuff, and like I'm in the middle and I'm trying to do both. And I swear to God, if suicide pods were legal, no, I'm kidding. That's a joke. That is absolutely a joke. And I shouldn't have gone there, and I don't know why I did. That is not at all. But man, it is stressful times. But you know what? The summer is coming, and it's going to be nice, and we're all going to be nice. And we're going to have a really nice summer. That is what we're going to have. We're going to have a really nice, memorable summer, because we don't have a whole lot of that stuff as a family. That's the pressure that I'm building up. I'm building that fucking pressure up myself. And that's really weighing on me, because it ain't going to be easy. Camping. We're going to go camping, because that's not expensive. We'll go find a campground and sleep in the car. And then we'll build a fire, and we'll make hot dogs, and maybe we'll fish. We're going to do things this summer. We're going to do things. I got a lot on my mind. Very stressed out. All right, so what are we doing? Sorry. This is what I do here. This is therapy. My current health coverage doesn't cover the kind of therapy that I need. My current health coverage, I could get therapy if I was a junkie, but I'm not a junkie. I don't have any real pressing. So I do this with you guys every day, and we talk about the world, and I always feel better. Whatever garbage I wake up with, I get to spew it out here, and we get to exchange thoughts with our chat room, as I say, and everybody's better for it, I would hope. Anyway, let's say hi to the rest of the chat room. Look, we got Leslie C here. We got Adam. We got Mikey D. No, I got to do that thing that I always do. No fat fingers, no fat fingers. We made it. All right, very good. Hey, you know what I wanted to say? Hi, Maddie. Maddie's here. Liv Femtard's here. Al's here. Okay. Cece was in here a couple of days ago. See, like I said, my little chickens, I don't know if I said him by name, but I was talking about, I sometimes get concerned when the people who have been in my chat room every day for 5 years, when suddenly one of them disappears for a period of time. And that's what I was talking about. I was like, where the hell has Cece been? And he was here the other day. That's good. Hi, Peter. Peter's here. Peter tipped the show yesterday, which is why I was able to do a show for the rest of the week, because I went right in the gas tank. So thank you, Peter, for helping support this kind of talk radio, even when it's not a pledge week. I hope you guys appreciate that I'm trying to do my best, right? I'm trying. You're not seeing the big scroll of give money, right? I'm trying to adhere to a new plan that I'm only the evangelical begging for tips 1 week a month, right? So you've noticed, but Peter, he didn't care. He still dropped a little something, and it was appreciated. Thank you. Not going to count towards the monthly, because, that's just, they get me through. But man, Peter, thank you, buddy. All right. Who else in the chat room? Anybody out there? Al is here. Anybody got any thoughts? April's wishing me good luck. She says, good luck, Pugs. Teenagers love to destroy the positive mindset. They do. They do. It's, frontal lobe cortex stuff, It's, they are reflexively addicted to the dopamine hit. That's why kids are the way they are. They some of them don't even do it. Like the emo kids, fall into that emo black hole because of the dopamine hits that they get. They don't even realize that, being depressed and being snarky about everything and misanthropic, that does give you a little bit of a, especially when people react to it. Yeah. What, young lady, why don't you smarten up? That's a dopamine hit, because you've triggered your parents, and that's what they want to do. Why? Because the frontal cortex, it's not there yet. They just want to, by the way, speaking of that, there's this really funny commercial. I don't know if any of you have daughters. It's currently my favorite commercial on TV. It's for Verbo, and I don't even know what Verbo is. What is Verbo? I get the impression that Verbo is maybe like, what's that thing where you go and sleep in somebody's bed? I don't know what that is. I don't ever do it. I'm still, look, hey, let me tell you something. Hotels and taxi cabs till I die. That's how I'm going to live. Hotels, I'm not sleeping in somebody's condo. I'm not going to be there next weekend. And then you look at it on the internet and you're just living in somebody's condo. No, that's kind of gross. Anyway, I think Verbo is something like that. So this commercial runs all the time during White Sox. Yeah, I'm going to show it to you. Why not? This isn't a commercial for Verbo, but it is a really well done commercial, and it's funny, and it's kind of what we're talking about here. Although this concerns a teenage girl, and I posted this on Twitter yesterday. I don't know if you watched it or not, but this commercial runs like, I don't know, every other spot. Is this the one? I thought there was a bit longer one. Anyway, the premise of this commercial is that it's a family and they're using Verbo. And Verbo, there's a lot of problems when you use these kinds of services. And Verbo is going to make sure that they'll fix all the problems. Except for the one glaring problem that they've got a moody teen girl. They can't fix that. So that's the premise of this commercial. All right, here it is. Let me share it. And, I don't even know if this is a national commercial because I only see it all the time on local Chicago White Sox baseball. So I don't know. And all platforms and how we watch things offer different commercials so I don't know what we're all seeing. Anyway, here it is. This is my current favorite commercial on TV. Verbo, they can fix all your problems, but not your moody teen girl.
My life. We knew our last Verbo was going to be incredible. We didn't know the hot tub was broken.
Or that our daughter's going through a phase.
Hot tub's busted.
I'm on it.
But Verbo had our backs, and with Verbo Care, they moved us.
Better place, better hot tub.
Water's real hot, huh, honey? Daughter's about the same.
Teenagers are full of surprises.
Got any room for dad?
Ew, think again, Bruce.
A vacation rental from Verbo is not. If you know, you Verbo.
All right. I love that commercial. Everybody ready for the hot tub? Ew. Think again, Bruce. He's calling her dad, Bruce. I love that girl. That girl is funny. Glad I don't have a daughter. I got a boy. I don't know. Maybe I would rather have a daughter because then you can just ignore. Like Bruce in that commercial, he's just dad. He's like, okay, fine. I'm just trying to do what I'm supposed to do. But if you're telling me you don't want me to do it, I'm just going to go in the living room and have a glass of scotch and watch baseball or Fox News or whatever it is dad does. I love that girl. I can ignore that. I could do that. A teenage boy, man, there's so much going on there between a grown-ass man and his teenage boy. Because the boy is, feeling it. Like the boy wants to be on the same level as the grown man, except the boy's not. And, the boy has a mind that is maybe equal to the grown man. And the boy certainly has physical skills, that are equal and oftentimes superior to the man, especially if you're talking about me and my son. So there is a physical superiority. There is a intellectual par, that we're sort of at. The difference is it's the emotional immaturity, right? That's the difference. A child, again, going back to the frontal cortex, doesn't have that. So it's a boy is difficult. I don't want to fight my kid. I don't want to get. Here's what if I fought my kid, I would have to fake a heart attack immediately, and then just watch him crush himself emotionally as I'm because that would kill him. That he would have because I know he loves me. That would but still in the moment he's very difficult. He never gotten physical. That's not a thing. I mean, we have gotten to the point where I have stood up and we've gone chest to chest and nose to nose. And I've said to him, you think about the choice you're about to make. You can sit down right now and we can tamp this thing and get to the bottom, or you can take it to a level that we will never return from. And he sat right down. He sat right down. He was like, all right, you're right. I ain't swinging on Dad. That ain't even if I'm pretty sure I'd knock his old fat ass out. I am not swinging on Dad. And we're still there. We're still there, which is good. And I appreciate this. Is one of the reasons I appreciate that my 17-year-old son doesn't drink. Because if he did drink, we would probably get there at some point. What are you talking about? Come on, old man. Right? That's what alcohol does. But, my kid prefers weed, which isn't a problem yet because grades and never in trouble and a good kid and all that. But as far as the intoxicants go, that's the one that he has stated that he's more interested in. He doesn't want to get drunk. He doesn't like that. Daughter, let's see here. Al says, we're talking about kids again. We've been doing this a lot. Maybe this is Elaine. I don't know. My 20-year-old daughter, days I drove too slow and I don't know how to use Google Maps. I let her drive the other day and I felt like I was 90 years old. Oh, man. That's something I was thinking about last night. With my kid, Al, and chat room and listeners at large. With my kid, I realized last night that there is never anything new that I will expose him to. Anything that gets to me as something new has already gotten to him like 6 months earlier, and I'm just a dumb boomer. Oh, cool, boomer. Yeah, that was so 6 months ago. Everything new. The only lane I still have is stuff that predates his birth. That's the only thing that I can now offer him where he's like, yeah, tell me about that because I'm interested. That's it. Anything new. Even like news events. He's like a little bit quicker than me on all of them. Which is why I kind of want to do some recording with him because I want to see what he's got. What kind of chops does he have? His mom's incredibly smart. And I'm incredibly loudmouthed and articulate. So I'd like to see what maybe that combination is. Adam's in the chat room. Adam's got a bunch of girls. He doesn't have any boys. His life's going to be absolute hell. He says, I'm lucky enough to have been around 30 plus. Wait, Adam, you got girls, right? You don't got boys. There's no boys. Is there a boy? Oh. Adam says, I'm lucky enough that I should know that. I suck for not knowing that. But maybe I'm right that he's got girls. I'm lucky enough to have been around 30 plus people from birth to adulthood in mine and Libby's family. And there's little difference in how you should parent. Personality's different. Yeah, I don't know. I agree that personalities definitely differ. My son and I have very similar personalities, which is, I think, why. We know how to trigger each other because the same things that trigger me trigger him. And, so we push each other's buttons for fun. 2 yaps, I thought. All right. Adam's got 2 girls and 0 boys. That's what I thought. All right. So I want to talk about something first that, guys, I wear, not proudly, dishonorably, I wear on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter, Pugs Moran. Follow me everywhere, Pugs Moran. Follow Radio Misfits everywhere on Twitter. If you follow me, please then go to Radio Misfits. Let's do both. Let's help the company, the algorithm, all that stuff. So I dishonorably walk around those Twitter streets with a blue check of shame. That's something I'm proud of. But if I'm going to do this stream, I'm going to do it right. And if I want to get traction, right, that was the thing. So Elon Musk is now charging like $10 a month or something for $8 a month. I think it's $8 a month for basic Twitter with a blue check that gives you, well, the promise is that it'll give you amplification and more traction, and it comes with all kinds of bells and whistles that you don't get with regular Twitter. So I've been using regular Twitter since 2008, I think 2009, somewhere in there. So I've been kind of used to doing it that way. But, the $8 a month on principle, that's not a lot of money. But on principle, I was just like, I'm not giving the world's wealthiest man $8 a month to bail him out of the worst business deal in history, which is what happened. He overpaid for Twitter. Everybody made fun of him. And so then suddenly he went to a subscription portion and that trying to make back the money there for Twitter. Anyway, $8 a month on principle. I wasn't going to do it. But then, I kept seeing the half price for the first couple of months or whatever. And I'm like, $4 a month? That's $1. I gotta do this. And I told you the other day I was craving a gyro, and I'm like, I'm going to go get a gyro. And in my head, I've been like, okay, the full gyro price for what I'm going to get out of there is going to be about $12, right? And I was on Twitter while thinking about a gyro, and then I looked at the sign up now for a blue check verified Twitter for $4. I'm like, $4? All right, I'm not going to get, all right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to get the gyro. I'm going to get the euro, and I'm going to save $8, and I'm going to see if I get some traction. So it's been since last Saturday since I signed up for the advanced Twitter thing. And wow, I mean, it really, I guess I'm there now. I guess I'm not happy about it, but I guess I'm a blue check because guys, it has been absolutely insane on my Twitter page. I mean, we're talking of hundreds of new follows. However, I did do a little investigating into who some of these people were and where they were coming from. And a lot of them are exactly the people I'm trying to reach. Not the people I have. I have you guys. You guys are my friends going back 26 years, right? But to expand the kind of content that I'm looking to do, I need to drill down into a hyper demo, which is the South Side of Chicago, which is not even the entirety of Chicago, not even Illinois, not even the Midwest, but specific, hyper-specific demo targeting. And, White Sox are kind of the epicenter of Southside Chicago culture. That's an avenue that I am interested in doing digital content for. Now, of the hundreds of new follows, a significant amount of them are White Sox Twitter people, which I love. I absolutely love. I don't know why I wasn't able to reach them before, but now suddenly here we go. I don't know if any of them are listening to this show every day, but it is nice to at least have, the Twitter follows. But my God, you guys, I used to get like 5 impressions after 24 hours, and I would, I think I write some pretty interesting tweets, and I'm like, oh, that's a good one. Hit send. And then I'm like, no response. Crickets. It's like, what the hell? Now I'm sending out just stupid shit. Just like, hey, what do you think of this? And I'm getting like, I put up a stupid picture, which is what we're going to talk about here in a minute. I put up a stupid picture and I got hundreds of responses. That's never happened before. I mean, my analytics are absolutely insane. So, although I do dishonorably wear the blue badge of disgrace, dishonor, and complicity, really, let's be honest, it's a badge of complicity. Although I wear it, I'm going to be wearing it because, quite frankly, it is working. It is working. Now, I want to talk about one of the ways that it is working. So, yesterday I posted a picture on my Twitter, and it's a real picture. It's a real picture of a phenomena that occurs here in the Midwest during certain times of the year, and I don't know what's wrong with us. This is also another part of what I've been talking about the last couple of weeks about how we've really destroyed an entire generation. My son's generation, the canary in the coal mine generation, who we just had no guardrails for internet access, for screen time or whatever, nothing, no awareness, just, oh my God, baby's screaming, give him a pad, right? That's what we thought. And the baby shut up and we went, this is a miracle. Well, now we've got a bunch of weird kids, we've got a bunch of weird humans who are now like entering their 20s and they don't know how to interact with people and they don't know what real life is about. So this is just sort of another example of that. People have become so cynical, especially young people, when it comes to what they are seeing. There are some absolutely miraculous and beautiful things in this world. And there is an entire generation who will never be able to appreciate it because they will never believe that it's real because they've been inundated with AI bullshit their entire life. So I posted this absolutely beautiful picture of the city of Chicago from the Indiana Dunes, which is my beach of choice. I don't love the downtown beaches. I know those are the tourist beaches and everybody loves the downtown beach. I'll go to Indiana. Thank you. Indiana has more like normal beaches, and the Indiana Dunes is my absolute favorite. One of my absolute favorite places on earth. Okay. It is. It's a. What are they? It's a ecological kind of miracle area of the southern side of Lake Michigan, where when the lakes were created by, all right, let's go back to the Ice Age. The lakes were created, obviously, by the glacier, the great melting in the pulling back of the Moraine Glacier, which created the whole Moraine Valley, which also created the Great Lakes. Point is this: when it pulled back from the bottom there of Indiana, it left these rolling sand dunes that if you're standing in the middle of it, you could be in the middle of the Sahara Desert. It's pretty cool. All right, what I'm describing there is a little bit more the Warren Dunes, a little bit further down, but the Indiana Dunes are very cool. I put up this picture of the city of Chicago at sunset from the Indiana Dunes, and in this picture, the skyline of the city of Chicago is perfectly encircled in the setting sun. It's a really breathtaking picture. Here, I'll show it to you. Oh, my God. Because I'm telling you, this caught fire. This caught fire yesterday on my Twitter page like nothing has ever caught fire before. Let me show you the picture. And let me explain to you what's happening here and why it's such a shame. There we are. Okay. All right, you see that picture? That is from the Indiana Dunes, okay? That is the city of Chicago across the south bend of the lake. Okay, that's not that far away. I think it's about 30 miles. Actually, across the lake, I don't know how far it is. Might only be like 15 miles or something across. I have no idea. But it's a really cool picture. And absolutely nobody under the age of 30 was willing to believe that that is a real occurring phenomenon, okay? But it is. And here's what it's known as, okay? I'm going to read you exactly what that thing is. This is a real viral sensation that circulates yearly. It highlights a stunning alignment of this is what we're looking at here. This is not AI. This is real. And I have been going back and forth with people who refuse to accept the science. Okay, so here's what we're looking at here. It is an alignment of geography, astronomy, and atmospheric physics. Photographers like Linda Mizarowski, who aptly named her shot Bullseye, and Trevor Mullman have famously captured this exact same perspective across Lake Michigan many times. The visual spectacle is deeply fascinating because of the science required to make it happen. Looming and refraction. This is called looming, atmospheric looming. Okay, the city of Chicago is roughly 30 to 50 miles away from the Indiana Dunes, depending on your exact beachfront location. Due to the curvature of the earth, the skyline should technically sit below the horizon line. However, a phenomenon called looming, that's what this is, and it happens twice a year. It's caused by a temperature inversion where cool air over the lake sits beneath the warmer air above it. And what that does is it bends the light. All right, bends the light downward. This atmospheric refraction lifts the city's silhouette, making it seemingly above Indiana, even though it's not. It's a mirage. It's an atmospheric mirage caused by an alignment of things. And I got people arguing with me, that's not exactly how the skyline even looks. And I'm like, fucker, it's a mirage. Your eyes are being tricked. It is a real picture. No, it's not. Yes, it is. It says, let's see. In person, the sun and the distant city look quite small to the naked eye. Photographers achieved this dramatic giant sun cradling the city look by using powerful lenses. The focal length compresses the distance, magnifying both the sun and the skyline so that they dominate the frame. The sun does not set behind Chicago every day of the year from the dunes. Because the sunset's position shifts along the horizon with the changing seasons, this perfect bullseye alignment only occurs during a brief window in mid-May and late July. It's real. Okay, this picture is real, and there is an entire generation of people, once again, the canary in the coal mine generation, who will never be able to appreciate some of life's little miracles because everything has been destroyed for them by AI slop. Adam says, let's see here. Every generation has their thing, I feel like. Our kids were just hyper accelerated. Well, what do you mean? That's interesting. I mean, because, yeah, certainly every generation has their thing. I think that my generation, Generation X, our thing was don't participate, right? Like Gen X whole thing was almost misanthropic, where we were the first generation that realized that we were not going to outdo our parents. You see the thing about boomers too. That's why Gen Z hates boomers so much. They really do. Gen Z really hates boomers. I'm like, hey, some of you have grandparents who are boomers. Excuse me. My voice is going. Not because of sinuses or anything like that. I don't know why. It's just going. Anyway, I think we're the ones, Gen X, our thing was almost, it doesn't, none of this matters because this is all a game. It's almost like Gen X figured out it's all a construct before any other generation. So that's maybe why we've almost been the generation that has sort of been really quiet. That and the fact that we're really small. We're a small generation. Millennials then came. What was millennials' thing? If Gen X, because we were slacker misanthropes. That's who Gen X was. Yeah, whatever, man. Like that was our thing. So what was millennials? We know what Gen X or Gen Zers. They're the canary in the coal mine. What was their millennial thing? Gen X had zero guardrails. You talk about it a lot. Yeah, we were free range. We were absolutely free range, which maybe accelerated our understanding of the cruelties of the real world faster than other generations. We weren't the boomers. We learned about what the boomers grew up in the Leave It to Beaver generation where, you could skip along beautiful new suburban streets. And then Gen X came along and all of those kids who were skipping along those streets in the 50s decided to get divorces. And half of us were living with single moms and, became a very weird kind of dystopic way of living. Although I don't think we Gen X think of it that way. I think now when you look at it the way other generations have matriculated through life, I think when you look at Gen X and maybe now looking back, it is very dystopian. But I don't think there's a Gen Xer alive who would have said they felt it was dystopian at the time. It was our reality. Come home, eat a bowl of cereal on the floor, put on MTV. Nobody's home. Do whatever you want. All right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what millennials thing is. I think millennials were coddled, maybe. Wasn't that the thing on millennials were the participation trophies? I love this argument, by the way. Loudmouth. This is a wonderful loudmouth argument. And people who aren't really thoughtful, who are just reactionaries, they hear this argument and they always go, yeah, that's right. So people like to take shots at millennials. Maybe not so much anymore because we've turned our ire onto Gen Z. But back in the day, the millennial shot was, they're the participation trophy generation. That's this whole generation. They never earned a goddamn thing. It's just every player got a trophy. So here's the flaw in that argument that stupid people always fall for. Do you think a 10-year-old in 1995 was planning who got trophies for the fucking football banquet? Do you think that the participation trophy thing was created by millennials? Or do you think it was maybe you guys? Maybe it was us. Maybe it was boomers and Gen Xers who did that to them. All right? So don't fucking blame millennials for that shit. Just like we can't blame Gen Z for whatever the hell it is with going on with them. Their inability to, be normal human beings in a public setting, that's also on us. Any of the things that we accuse generations of being are all because of the way they were raised by the previous generation. So just consider that when you're taking shots at entire generations of people. What do we got? A new guy? Jumbo Jack. Welcome in. I don't know what Jumbo Jack is. I haven't seen Jumbo Jack. Maddie says, ironically or unironically, we clearly failed. Well, clearly, I would say that every generation has had their failure. Do you think that the greatest generation, the people who went through and, the further away we get from a generation, by the way, the more we glorify them. Like the greatest generation, the people who started smoking cigarettes at 9 because they were working the night shift at the textile factory, that generation. We give them a lot of credit for stuff like, they survived the Depression. Well, they went through World War II. I'm like, bitch, we survived the pandemic and went through the last 26 years of America. I'm sorry. I know World War II was a difficult 6-year stretch, but my God, the last 6 years of this country has been worse than it was during World War II. We were thriving during World War II. Industry was booming. So stop it. But anyway, we give those people, the greatest generation, all kinds of credit, but they raised boomers. They raised the boomers. And then the boomers raised Gen X. Oh, and again, the detachment from the Gen X boomer thing is we were all raised by these boomers. Our formative years as Gen Xers came when these boomers were still in their 20s. And anybody who knows anything about boomers know that no generation made as drastic a hard turn as the boomers did in the 1980s. So the misanthropic, I'm detached kind of attitude of my entire generation comes from watching boomers go from protesting their government's illegal actions in Southeast Asia to Gordon Gekko's greed is good and disco cocaine in the 80s. We watched that. We watched our parents completely sell out. So as a generation, we were like, the people we love more than anything can't be depended on. Because what they taught us when we were 5 is not the same thing as what we witnessed when we were 15. And I think that's what happened to Gen X. And again, when I say this, I'm speaking from a 30,000-foot view. I wouldn't apply any of that stuff to my mother. My mother was in the single mom category who became and rose to a hero type status in my eyes. So, but I mean, just generally speaking, I think that that's an argument that can be made for why Gen X is what Gen X is. Millennials were the helicopter parent generation. Right. And who were the parents of millennials who did that helicopter bullshit? We were. And now, whenever it's convenient, we like to go, yeah, that entire generation. Again, I love that argument that, what do you think an 8-year-old is sitting there holding planning meetings for the Little League banquet? You think an 8-year-old is going, you know what? We need to protect everybody's feelings on this team. I think everybody needs to no, an 8-year-old didn't do that. A member of the millennial generation didn't come up with the idea of participation trophies, and yet you make them wear it. Like it's, they did it. Here's Barney. Barney says, in hindsight, many men in the greatest generation were likely suffering undiagnosed trauma. Traumatic brain injuries. Absolutely. I mean, there was a lot, not only that, but I mean, there are things that we fix today like that. There are things that are wrong with people. And I'm talking about now in our era of a more willingness to investigate what's going on in one's head, right? We have more of a willingness for that. I mean, I talk very casually about therapy, which is something that a man probably wouldn't have done 30, 40 years ago. I don't give a shit. We're a bit more comfortable. We now understand that, yeah, we can stitch skin and we can fix bones and we can even transplant hearts, but we've never really looked into, what's going on up here with people. So imagine that, the greatest generation. I bet you half of the heroes of World War II were like undiagnosed bipolar lunatics. We hear these stories about, and then he ran through the fort. Yeah, that guy was nuts. That guy was insane. Just in 5th grade, he didn't have a therapist go, you know what, maybe we ought to put him on some meds. Audie Murphy wouldn't have been half the soldier if he had actually gone through A modern public elementary school system. Al on this subject, Al says, here's Al. Al says, I won't let my 10-year-old son out of my sight. They say in Japan, you could let your kid out into the street without having to worry about them getting kidnapped. Yeah, you can do that too here right now. Yeah, you could. You can let your, I know, look, I understand it. Fear drives a lot of our actions. But you could just let your 10-year-old outside right now in 2026. And I promise you, there is no more or less likelihood that he would be kidnapped today than he would back then. If there's a kidnapper happen to be in the area, your kid's in danger. And it doesn't matter if it's 1960 or 2026. But the fear and the awareness of kidnappings that happen have us thinking about it more, and thus we think it's a greater threat. It is not a greater threat. Nothing except really AI and computer problems, all the tech stuff. Those are new threats. But monsters lurking among us, you can't go outside in 2026 because everybody's insane. What do you think it was like in Deadwood in 1850? I mean, times have always been very, very scary. In 1920 Chicago during the Prohibition Wars, do you think that people let their 10-year-old kids just run up and down the street? Or did they keep them locked in because Al Capone and a bunch of guys with Tommy guns could come down the block and... No, kids ran around up and down the street. It's always been dangerous. I don't think you need to be overprotective. Yeah, 10 years old, yeah, though. 10 years old, yeah. I'll tell you, though, Al, you want to talk about overprotective. I don't know how I'm going to handle this with my 17-year-old coming here. He's not a kid anymore. He's 17 years old. He has a driver's license. He has ID. He has a job. He has a bank account back in Texas. He is taking on responsibilities that 10-year-olds don't have. So we're going to be here, and I have had to game plan what happens when he goes, Dad, let me use the car. I'm going to go out for a while. 17 years old from Plano, Texas. Sitting here on the south side of Chicago. He's like, give me the car. Let me go for a ride. And it's not that I think something terrible is going to happen to him. It's just that he doesn't know what he doesn't know, which is if you get to this street and you make a right, you might want to roll up the windows and lock the doors. If you get to this street and you make a left, you're fine. Roll the windows down and wave at people as they walk their dogs. He doesn't know this stuff. So I am a little bit worried about that prospect because he is the kind of kid that will want to get in the car and just go put on some music and explore. He loves Chicago. And that scares the shit out of me because I kind of maybe have to let him do it, but also I don't want to. I don't want to. Why can't we do it together? You can drive. Let's do it together. That's it. That's the compromise. I think that's what I'm going to try and float. But he's not going to want to do that. He's not going to go with Dad. He's what he doesn't want to do. He's going to want to take the car. He's going to drive around. He's going to talk to his friends. I get it. I'm just a big stick in the mud. I don't know. We don't worry about our kids. I guess that's good. I guess that's better than the alternative, right? Not worrying about your kids. All right, let's jump into some of the headlines here today. Look at us. We're already an hour into the show. Let's see. I'll run through some of the things, some of the big things. Iran ain't going well. They ain't happy. Apparently, well, not only are they not happy, they also don't seem to be very scared. The Supreme Leaner. That's probably some hip hop artist. Yo, everybody. Welcome to Supreme Leaner. The Supreme Leader of Iran, he is stating unequivocally that we have uranium and it's staying here. All right, so that ain't good. Apparently, Iran is also rapidly rebuilding their military with the help of China. That ain't good. That ain't good. Iran is talking about placing a permanent toll now on the Strait of Hormuz, which will affect every nation under God's good son. That's something that wasn't there before. Oil's now going to be permanently more expensive because Trump wanted to protect his billionaire pedophile friends. That's what this is all about, you guys. I'm not a crazy person. Not a crazy person. You know that. I'm a normal guy. That's what this is about. This guy, and I'm not sitting here saying that Trump's a pedophile. I know a lot of people are making that jump. I'm not saying that. I've seen nothing that tells me unequivocally that he is a pedophile. But what I have seen is that he's friends with pedophiles and that their names are out there and that we've been promised their names and that we're not getting their names because this guy doesn't want it to be weird the next time he golfs with them. So that's what we got. He's also saber rattling at Cuba. Apparently we've got some boats. We got some boats. The ones that we Homer Simpsoned out of the Strait of Hormuz. No, I'm kidding. I imagine we've got boats all over the world. But I like to think that all of our ships that are in the Strait of Hormuz are doing the Homer Simpson real slowly. Like every day they're like 500 yards further back than they were. Like every day, just incremental. Then pretty soon they'll be gone. And we'll all be used to what I paid today, $4.11 or $5.11 a gallon. We'll all just get used to it. Well, at least it's not 6. That's what we'll say. Because normalization and programming. Yeah, Cuba's in trouble. Apparently, Cuba's really being affected here. So, Trump, there you go. I mean, if you hate Cuba, if you want Cuba to be brought back into the American fold like I do, I absolutely do. I mean, I ain't never been to the Bahamas or anything, but why not? If we're going to have options, why not add Cuba? Old Havana. Let's go on a trip to Old Havana. By the time I go, they'll have built really nice hotels and stuff. I mean, it's like I'm not going to go like day one. But why not? Let's bring Cuba back in. Apparently, we've brought suddenly Venezuelans in. Apparently, nobody ever thought to go to Venezuela before, but now, tourism to Venezuela by Americans has spiked over 1,000%. Which is weird. I don't know, it's all CIA guys and drug dealers. Who's going down to Venezuela now? Who sees an opportunity down there like Americans moving to Venezuela? Anyway. Cuba. That's probably how they say it. Cuba's probably going to get invaded here. That's all. And I'm going to say probably because, Trump's going to need another distraction, especially now with all this Massey talk. Everybody's talking about the Epstein thing again. Trump's going to need another distraction. We didn't buy the aliens. All right, so that's what's going on around the world. His approval ratings are also really bad, which is interesting because here, did you see this? He addressed this. Trump's approval ratings in some polls. I'm gonna give you the worst one. The worst poll is he's at 30%. And a poll that Fox News went with, he's at 38%, which are all really bad, okay? Really, really bad. But here's up. Trump's not worried about all that because listen to what he says when he's confronted about his polls here in America. This is what the president of the United States had to say. I don't want to play the Fox. Maybe I'll play the Fox. I don't know. We'll see how I feel. But here it is. When confronted about his polling numbers here in America, here's what
I'm right now at 99% in Israel. I could run for prime minister, so maybe after I do this.
Hey, Mr. President, latest polls that came out show you polling at an all-time low. What do you think of that? Well, I'm 99% in Israel. I could run for prime minister there. Those people love what I'm doing. Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem that we Americans are actually saying. That's the problem, dude. This is a level of unawareness and a delusion of invincibility that we have never seen. He doesn't give a fuck about what he's saying. He said a couple weeks ago that he doesn't even think about us in our economic struggles. And Byron's probably still got a Trump flag in his front yard. I'm kidding. Byron's my easy target. All right, here we go. The Israelis love him. So he's not worried about not being popular in America. Maybe he can go over there and be prime minister.
I'm right now at 99% in Israel. I could run for prime minister. So maybe after I do this, I'll go to Israel, run for prime minister. I had a poll this morning. I'm 99%. So that's good. But
yeah, we're talking about the other polls this morning. the ones here in America. Guys. All right, there you have it. That's our president. He's not popular here, but he is very popular in Israel, and I think that might be the problem that a lot of us have with him. He's also having a little bit of an issue with his ballroom. I thought the ballroom was a done deal. I thought, this is what he does, builder in chief and all of that. Well, it's turning out that the ballroom is shady as hell. Really? Yeah. What he basically did was he's utilizing the same business model that he did when he would build new construction projects, whether they're a failed casino in Atlantic City or some, big giant skyscraper in a major American city. He has a plan. And what he's able to do now as president is eliminate all the difficult parts of that plan, which was convincing investors and convincing, so he wants to build his big, giant, beautiful ballroom. And he doesn't have to worry about where the money for that comes from because it's part of the White House and that's a taxpayer thing. Even though early on he told us, remember, fully paid for. All right, don't worry about it. Building a ballroom. And we're like, well, are you paying for it? And he's like, it's fully paid for. Don't worry about it. Which opened up a whole other bunch of questions, which is, yeah. So who's paying for it, right? That's a problem. That's why we have a fair bidding process for, American mega projects. And I think this ballroom is certainly turning into a mega project. So you have to have a bidding process to allow all, these companies to get a slice of. Well, we didn't have that. No, his friends are paying for it. And he works in construction, so I'm just using my boys. And they're going to pay for it. So that was like 9 months ago or something. Well, now they're not paying for it. Now we're paying for it. Now it's like $1 billion. Now it's $1 billion in taxpayer funds. And Congress wants to know exactly why this ballroom is costing $1 billion. So I could probably show you any number of Democrats, but this is a Republican. This is that guy. What's his name? Hold on. I'll find you for him. This dude's name. It's not Lindsey Graham. Who? Bill Cassidy. That's it. Bill Cassidy. All right. This guy's a Republican, although he's not a good Republican because he doesn't do anything Trump wants. Remember, if you're a Republican, you got to do whatever he wants, or else you're not a good Republican. Doesn't matter that he's not very Republican. That's not the point, stupid. Just do what he says. Because freedom and liberty. And you're an alpha thinker. Okay. All right, so here you go. This is Bill Cassidy talking about Trump's ballroom. Apparently, it's in a lot of trouble because he's not going to have the votes. He's just not gonna. He thought he was. He thought all of these people would be on board until they started crunching the numbers and look at that Trump just put out $1 billion budget without explaining it, which is a problem. Wouldn't be a problem for somebody that was probably honest, although it probably would even be a problem for that. But it's a real problem for this guy because he's not honest at all.
There's no architectural plans. There is no environmentals. There's no engineering. There's no sense of, when we ask, how did it happen to cost exactly $1 billion? In my mind, that is, it could cost a lot less. It could cost a lot more. I just don't get it. There's no.
All right, here's what I promise you, Senator Cassidy. It's going to cost a lot less than that $1 billion. It's going to cost a lot less, although the paperwork is going to show that it came in right at $1 billion. I mean, this is not we should have a ballroom. We need a ballroom. This is not that argument, you guys. This is a whole different argument. Stop it. We've moved on from that. All right, we're all like, fine, we're getting a ballroom. But now we're seeing the con, okay? So stop it. Stop with the whole, this isn't about whether or not we're getting a ballroom. That ship has sailed. We feel like there's already a ball. So now let's get down to the dirty business of making the ballroom a reality. And we're all going, what the fuck is this plan? It's an obvious cash grab yet again. Maybe this is what we're learning. The people who do it sneakily get caught because there's a prize for a journalist to uncover something that is trying to be kept secret. But there is no prize for anybody who uncovers something that is just being done out in the open. That's how it's being done. It's being done in the light of day. And there is no breaking news story because there's nothing to uncover. It's just there and it's normalized and it's something that happens now. All right. Let's see. What else do we have here? What do we want to talk about? He's popular. Let's do this story. I like this story because this is actually ties in with something we're all talking about right now, which is another fund, a $1.8 billion slush fund that anybody in America who feels persecuted, by the government. We have these are already mechanisms that exist. If you feel that you have been persecuted by the government, you can bring it as a case and you can actually get money from a judge on your specific case. You don't have to just have a big bag of money that the president hands out to people who fucking kicked in doors at the Capitol on January 6th, which is what a lot of us are afraid of is going to happen here. He is buying and funding his own private army of thugs, a private army of thugs that already acted out on January 6th. And I know some of you live in a world where doors weren't kicked in, where people didn't die, where feces wasn't spread on the wall, where congressmen didn't have to delay a vote, a mechanism incredibly important to this democracy. No, y'all just want to pretend like it was just some people who went to the Capitol. You people are fucking weird. It's not political to watch the video and go, yeah, that's wrong. That's wrong. But you're so drunk on your partisan bullshit that half of you are still going, nah, it's just people went to that was Obama's fault for not being born in this country. I'm not against the idea of building camps. I just think we disagree on who those camps should be for. Okay. Let's see here. Scott, I don't know if you're referring to me. I am belching because I'm drinking copious amounts of coffee. But if you're talking about Trump, he's belching because that's truth, desperately trying to escape from his inner soul. All right. So I want to do this story about a real example of what happens when the government overzealously pursues charges for what is obviously political reasons. Okay? Because it does happen. We don't have to have a big bag of money that the president dips into and goes, I'm sending this guy this much money. We don't need that. We've already got a way to do it. And it happened yesterday. That's right. Let's go down to Tennessee. Lawfare in Tennessee. This is a real story, and it's a feel good because this guy absolutely deserves it. All right, let's talk about a former cop. That's right, a former sheriff, a former Tennessee sheriff, in fact. He's a former sheriff in Tennessee. So, he's probably a big blue-haired liberal lesbian. Look at that big blue-haired liberal lesbian. Well, here's the thing. This retired sheriff down there in Tennessee, he knew what a con man Charlie Kirk was. He knew what a danger Charlie Kirk was. And we don't know about this man's politics in general. What we do know is that he thought that Charlie Kirk was a charlatan and bad for this country. Idea that I co-sign. So this guy, this former sheriff down there in Tennessee, his name is Larry Bushart. He's 61 years old. He posted on Facebook, he forwarded or whatever, a clip of President Trump. You know what? I'm just going to read it to you. I don't want to freeball it because I think this is a good story and we can dip into the details as we get them. Okay, here it is. Larry Bushart, he's a 61-year-old retired police officer from Lexington, Tennessee. He was given a settlement yesterday of $835,000. Perry County there in Tennessee, has to pay him $835,000 after he was wrongfully jailed for a month and a week. 37 days they put this man. Excuse me. Let's see here. What did he do? Here's what he posted. I want to give you exactly what he posted. Bushart shared, this is all he did, that he spent, a former white Tennessee sheriff spent 37 days in prison because he shared a political meme on a Perry County Facebook community page following the assassination of Charlie Kirk the meme featured President Donald Trump with his 2024 quote regarding a school shooting in Perry, Iowa. The quote attributed to Donald Trump after the 2024 Perry, Iowa school shooting is, "We've got to get over it." Okay. Bushhart, that's what he shared. He shared after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, he shared a clip of the President of the United States commenting on a school shooting that occurred the year before and saying, "We got to get over it." The idea here is that Bushhart is saying about the Charlie Kirk assassination, "We got to get over it." But he added, okay, he added to it, "This seems relevant today." Charlie Kirk gets killed. This former sheriff, who is known to not like Charlie Kirk, has made that clear, posts the President of the United States talking about a school shooting, being dismissive of it. He posts that, and then he adds again, this seems relevant today. That's all he did. That's all he did. And he spent 37 days in jail for that post. Why? Because the sheriff of this place, county, that is Perry County, the sheriff of this place didn't like this guy. Didn't like that he wasn't all in on the MAGA stuff. Didn't like that this former sheriff used to be one of us. What happened? Why aren't you carrying water for Charlie Kirk? Sheriff didn't like him. So the sheriff had him arrested and said that he was making threats against Perry County schools. Now, do you see? There's a Perry in Iowa and there's a Perry in Tennessee. Charlie Kirk got shot. He used President Trump talking about the Perry, Iowa school shooting and being dismissive of it to sort of say, let's all move on from the Charlie Kirk thing. But because it's also Perry, Tennessee, where he was doing it, the local sheriff used red flag laws to say that, oh, well, we're not entirely sure what he's talking about. We think this might be a threat against Perry County schools. And as the Perry County sheriff, we need to arrest him. And they arrested him. They put him in jail for 37 days. This happened in September of 2025 after 37 days in jail and facing immense national pushback. The local district attorney declined to prosecute and dropped all charges. Bushhart, in December of 2025, then filed a federal lawsuit against the county for violating his First and Fourth Amendment rights. And just yesterday, he was awarded $835,000 from Perry County to walk away from this whole thing. All right. All right, here's some more information. It says the arrest, actually, the local authorities claim that because the meme contained the word Perry, referencing the Perry, Iowa school shooting, local parents and residents feared that Bushhart was going to attack Perry County High School there in Tennessee. So a cop who doesn't like a guy decided to use his power to put that guy in prison for 37 days. And now, that cop's gone. He said that guy's no longer there. You think the county's going to let this guy stay? The guy that did this probably makes $80,000 a year. And now the county's got to pay $835,000. Sheriff Nick Weems is the sheriff in question. He admitted to media outlets that he knew that the meme was referencing the Iowa shooting, but he feared members of the community didn't, so he acted as sheriff. All right, there you have it. So some good news. That's some good news. Yeah, I mean, people are in this country unfairly persecuted by authorities. It is almost always at the local level. It is almost never some sort of federal governmental overreach. I mean, maybe we can, if you're a rich guy, you might think that that's not the case when it comes to the SEC and the IRS. But for the most part, when the federal government is involved and they're coming after you for something criminal, they typically have their T's crossed and their I's dotted. It's the local authorities that ring you up and jam you up for all kinds of bullshit because they're power mad and they feel that they're insulated because what are you going to do? Well, in this case, this guy won $835,000. All right, let's move on. Let's see. What else do we have here? Here's here's a fun story. So, but by the way, this is like one of like 10 stories from yesterday, but I'm going to choose this one because I have big thoughts on the whole pray the gay away movement. Some big pray the gay away guy. He's like super high up in the whole movement. He's written books and all that kind of stuff. He was caught in a child sexting operation. And you know what? Because I'm an optimist, here's what I think. I think that he should look at this as a whole new business venture. He's obviously a gay man, and he's obviously, active in his church. So at some point, he was able to, read the tea leaves and say, maybe it's a good time for me to, use the fact that I'm known as a gay man in the community, and I'll create this little club, and it'll be a pray the gay. We'll all get fixed. All the gay men in this church will all get together in a steam room once a week, tempting each other with our sweaty bodies hidden by thin towels. And we'll talk about how great it is to be straight. That's what this guy is. But anyway, new business opportunity. Why not? It sounds to me, we are in a time now where people are very accepting of pedophilia. It wasn't the case a couple of months ago, but, things changed. Now suddenly, especially Christian people and especially Republicans, and that's, I think there's a Venn diagram there where it's just like one deep circle. Republicans, pedophiles, and Christians. So, we got to deal with, our new understanding that, pedophiles are okay, or at least not the monsters that we used to think they were. So maybe this guy can now use this arrest, this pray the gay away guy. Maybe he can now use this to start a whole, pray the pred away kind of movement. And churches will start having, dude, I used to like kids, but now I don't. Now I run a day, and I'm such a success, I just opened a daycare. You think I'm kidding? That's how it works, because people are stupid. Not everybody's like us. Not everybody's looking at this shit going, hold on. Former Pray the Gay Away activist has been charged in a child sex sting. Let's look at this guy. Let's look at him. Does he look like a ped? I don't know what peds look like now. I got to see the pictures of Trump's buddies, and I'll tell you what peds look like. There you go. That's him. Look at him. He's the Pray the Gay Away guy. Hold on. Yeah, sorry. All right, here we go. Pray the Gay Away guy. Let's read about him, shall we? It says here, the former president of the widely known... Seriously? The Orlando Sentinel. When I read it this morning, you didn't do this. Hold on. They're making me sign in to read the story. I read it earlier. All right. You know what? Never mind. Oh, here we go. Thank you. Thank you, Orlando Sentinel. It says the former president of a widely known anti-LGBTQ. It's doing it again. You're doing it again. All right. You know what we're going to do? We're just going to find this story on a free. This is the problem. This is a really big problem that I've been talking about for years. The problem is that all legitimate information and journalism that abides by codes and standards, and I know you people, it hasn't been perfect. No, it's never going to be perfect. But the most reliable, the legacy news is no longer available to the general public. All legacy, legitimate journalistic information is behind paywalls. Do you know what's free? The Babylon Bee. You know what's free? A whole bunch of like crazy agendized news groups masquerading as sort of middle of the road that are absolutely not. They're all agendized. Those things are free. And that's why all the information people seem to have is wrong. Because any real information is now hidden behind a paywall. And you know what? Fuck that. All right. Do we need to really go into that? We don't need to know the details of that guy. He was down there in Florida. He prayed the gay away and got very successful. And it turns out he's a child molester. All right. Let's turn our attention now to what's going on down there in Texas. The Senate race. Okay. Because I wanted to show this. This is pretty exciting. for me, because I think Texas has the worst leadership in America. Maybe not in America. I mean, to be honest, I haven't really looked at Alabama all that closely, but I imagine Texas is not good. Texas is not good. Ken Paxton is, I mean, John Cornyn is a politician. John Cornyn is just what it is. That is, none of us are happy with that, but that is what it is. That is he's probably enriched his whole life. His daddy probably got him an internship in Washington when he was 16, or I don't know what Cornyn's story is, but he is certainly right now the quintessential American right-wing conservative Republican senator. That's what he is. A lot of people have kind of decided that that's not a thing for them anymore. So what they're doing is they're going with an abject degenerate and Ken Paxton, sleepy fucking eye degenerate Ken Paxton is who you're going, well, we don't like the prim and proper guy that's been there for 20 years. We're going to go with the obvious goon. That's what's wrong with. He's not going to win, though. That's the thing. Trump came out. Trump chose Paxton. He's like, I'm endorsing Paxton, which is great. Because Tallarico and those of us who would like to see some real change in the attitude of the people who run the state of Texas, not that he's going to be running the actual state, but he will be the state's representative, at least in the Senate, one of them. Maybe he can counterbalance that fucking Ted Cruz nonsense. Talk about a guy who's never taken a position on anything that would lead to any sort of poll bump downward for him. He is always on whatever is going to get him up with the base. That's all he's about. Never about serving real people or the whole community, just only about the base. And I don't know what Tallarico is. I don't know if he's going to be a good legislator or whatever, but I do know that as a man, as a human being, listening to him, the way he talks, the way he carries himself, the way he moves among people, he's way better than anybody else. And yet he's a demon because Christians are being activated to think that somebody who actually speaks the way Jesus would is a charlatan and a fraud. So President Trump had been dragging his teeth. Can you drag your teeth? I guess you can. Dragging his feet on the whole endorsing one of the Republican candidates for the primary. He came out a couple of days ago and he endorsed Paxton, and immediately Tallarico took the lead, which is so funny. Here's Harry Enton. I like this guy. I like Harry Enton. Harry Enton on CNN. He broke it down. The current state of the Texas senatorial race. Here we go. Let's watch this.
And the idea that Democrats can't win, it's simply put, they're looking at the numbers. They are looking at the numbers. And the idea that Democrats can't win in Texas, I want to put that to rest. They could very well do it. James Tallarico could very well win in Texas. And I want to use a comparison point with 2018 because there was all this talk about Beto O'Rourke, right? Oh, could he beat Ted Cruz? He could beat Ted Cruz.
Right now, I want to tell you what Barney's typing. At the same time, Beto O'Rourke had 4 points, or what? Right? It's something like that. Barney's not going to sit and listen to this and consider it. No, Barney's got the program at this point in the race with Ted Cruz. Watch. Because of the delay, he didn't hear me saying this. He's going to hit post, and it's going to be there. He's going to make excuses for this. It was never like this with Beto. Okay? It was never like this.
The numbers at this point, Tallarico could very well win in Texas.
And by the way, there was never a president in the office there in Washington who was drumming up this kind of opposition heat. Okay, that's also the difference between when Beto dragged his dick across the panhandle trying to fucking beat Cruz, right? It's a little different situation here.
I want to use a comparison with that to rest. They could very well do it. James Tallarico could very well win in Texas. And I want to use a comparison point with 2018 because there was all this talk about Beto O'Rourke, right? Oh, could he beat Ted Cruz? He could beat Ted Cruz. The numbers at this point in that campaign, simply put, did not support that conclusion. But the numbers at this point absolutely support the conclusion that James Tallarico can win. So take a look. Texas Senate polls in May of the election year. When you matched up Beto O'Rourke versus Ted Cruz was up by 7 points. He was clearly ahead. But look at the polling average now when you max up Ken Paxton versus James Tallarico. It's actually Tallarico that's ahead by 4 points. And Johnny B, I was looking back at every single Texas Senate race that I could find, and at this point in the campaign, James Tallarico is polling better than any Democrat in at least 24 years. You have to go all the way back to 2002 to find a Democrat even polling anywhere close to where Tallarico is polling right now. Texas, Democrats have dreamt about turning it blue. This time, the numbers actually support the idea that they may actually be able to do it.
All right, that's the numbers. I know it triggers people like Barney. Who I mean, again, how do you look at everything that we've said? You have not seen more of James Tallarico than I have. If you're on the right, if you're a Trump supporter, you've not seen more of Tallarico. I've seen fucking everything, and I'm in. He's a good human being. So I would be interested to know what it is, Well, he says the women aren't women. And okay, I've seen the whole fucking speech. I've seen all the context of what he said. And he's been misrepresented by that. And of course he has, because, the right is duplicitous and whatever it takes to win. And that's politics. And the left is duplicitous when it comes to election campaigning as well. But that's bullshit. So if you want to use that, I will fucking dedicate an entire segment. We'll watch the whole speech and we'll break it down. And you'll see that he didn't say the things that people are trying to say that he said. Context is important. He just seems like a good man. Might I be wrong? Hell yeah. We get fooled all the time, right? Y'all got fooled by Trump. Or have you still failed to fucking acknowledge that? But you don't give up. You don't give up on being aspirational and optimistic when somebody new comes along that's saying something a little bit different. And we need something a little bit different because, quite frankly, this isn't working. Everyone agrees. Whatever this is, it isn't working. And yet you're all going to reelect the worst people. All right, there you go. But I think he's gay. That's like one that I've seen going around too. You think he's gay? So, 2026, you're going to okay, good, make a deal of that. I imagine that would help him. Although maybe not, because the people that gay dudes in Texas are probably already voting for him. What you'll lose there are like older people who think he's nice, but find out that he's like your 75-year-old grandma who wants to vote. She's a Republican and red, but she really he seems like a sweet boy. Gay he'll lose her vote. Yeah, you can't do that, man. Every vote's got to count. So, James, if you are gay, let's wait till you're elected, okay? And then, could you imagine? Oh my God, could you imagine homo ticket? Could you imagine gay James Tallarico and gay Pete Buttigieg? What if there's a gay rom-com? Imagine that. They run as a ticket. Who would be first? I would think, Senator versus Senator. The Senator would be first. So it would be Tallarico and Buttigieg as vice president. And what if they were in a relationship? That's a rom-com. Who's that Billy guy who yells at people on the street? He's doing, he does movies now where he's a gay leading man. Billy Eichner. That's it, starring Billy Eichner and I don't know. Doesn't matter. But who cares? I don't give a shit. If you care in 2026 that your candidates are gay, I mean, all right. I guess that's all right. I don't know. It's not okay with me. Let's talk about Hooters. This is actually a subject that I wanted to bring up months ago during football season because I first noticed it during football season, and I went, well, isn't this interesting? Hooters, or the whole restaurant kind of fad, restaurants. Get it? It's like it's a restaurant, but tits. Right? That's the whole restaurant thing. So the restaurant thing in 2026, or let's just say the restaurant thing in 2022, okay? Because I think things are changing. I think we're getting ready to re-embrace. I think we're gonna re-embrace the whole restaurant thing. But Hooters probably decided to make this hard change back in 2022, and they've been advertising during football season, and now they've made it official with a new campaign that they're unloading. Hooters would like to be known as a kid-friendly restaurant. Kid-friendly. Hooters. I mean, it's where It's where divorced dads take their teenage sons for wings and, let's watch a football game at Hooters and get some wings. That's always kind of been the stereotype, right? That you do see kids at Hooters, but it's always because it's dad's weekend. But now Hooters is like, leaning into it. And why? Because, well, the restaurant thing has kind of not been as embraced, maybe culturally, as it was when it first popped up on the scene back in the lawless 90s, when it was all right to just go, that chick's got great tits. I'll have another beer, sweetie. We used to be able to do that. Can't do that anymore. Hooters is re-examining their brand. Here, let me show you this picture. Look at this picture. This is exactly like the kind of marketing that Hooter wants out there. And this comes to us from none less a source than the New York Times. Look at that. Hooters is trying to embrace kids. Hold on. Sorry, I got to do something. Not. If you're gonna be Hooters, do you think? God. I was going to say something's probably, we're talking about Hooters, so I'm in a very misogynistic mindset. I was going to say, if you're Hooters, maybe you get a better Hooter girl. And not that there's anything wrong with her. But if you're going to, for the big banner picture for the New York Times, just saying. She looks like, a day shifter at the Scranton Hooters. And I don't know that that's New York Times banner worthy. She seems very nice. The boys seem happy. Well, they don't know. They're 12, 13 years old. They see a girl in a tight shirt with boobs and it's okay. They're like, it's okay. Like, I can look at her boobs. That's what this whole thing is about. How come my gay bar never took off peckers? And don't go telling me that there's a place in Oak Lawn because, on Oak Lawn down there in the neighborhood in Dallas, I think that guy ripped me off. I think that guy took my ideas. Years ago, like 2002, I was like, let's open a gay bar and let's call it Peckers. And it'll be because Hooters is, based on a woodpecker. That's the whole joke. It ain't about boobs. It's about, wood. It's about Hooters. It's about, owls. That's why the Hooters mascot is the owl. Well, let's do Peckers and put these places in gay neighborhoods. And, dudes wear orange. Well, maybe not orange. You don't want to be that. Woody Woodpecker was red, right? Okay, so dudes wear red Speedos with a little woodpecker on the front. You know what I mean? You get it? It ain't about dicks. It's about woodpeckers. Get it? That's why we call it Peckers. So I guess somebody opened up a Peckers. I guess somebody, or Woodpeckers or something. I guess somebody opened one up and it was like years after I first offered it. So I got to believe. They stole my idea. I still think you could play that. I still think it's a national rollout. My idea is better. My idea. Woodpeckers. Why wouldn't it work? Because gay dudes aren't as uptight. Like Hooters get scrutinized because civilized society and they're in suburbs and there's nice families in suburbs and girls in tight shirts. What's wrong with that? But apparently there is something wrong with that. She's more, she is worth more than just her breasts and a tight t-shirt. Bitch, she applied for this job. She wanted this job. We didn't go down to the junior college and start abducting hot chicks and make them be waitresses at a wing restaurant. They applied for this job. Stop it. It's misogynistic. It shouldn't be allowed. Yeah, it should. All right, next case. That's how you do. It shouldn't be allowed. I think it should. All right, let's move on. Let's see. Hooters is now officially welcoming families and children, offering an expanded kids menu with items like wings, burgers, and chicken strips. While historically known as a restaurant, locations are now often frequented by families after sports games. Some locations even feature kids eat for free deals. Hooters would like America to know it's safe to bring the kids. That's fine. I don't know. I don't have a problem with this. I'm not uptight. I think you know what it is? I think it's up to the parents. I think if you are a parent that thinks there is something questionable about bringing your child to a Hooters for some of the finest wings available, and that is true. That is true. I crave wings all the time. And I got to tell you, every time I get wings after craving wings that are not Hooters wings, I'm disappointed. So for me, my rule now is whenever I crave wings, Hooters. Just go to Hooters because those are the ones you like. But if you question, what your child will be exposed to, then obviously you shouldn't go there. This is an individual thing. This isn't a monolithic decision. Me and my kid's 17. Of course, we go to Hooters. But my kid and I, we'd gone to Hooters when he was 10. He loved the wings, and he loved it. It wasn't about boobs or anything for him. And quite frankly, it wasn't about boobs for me either. It was about the fact that we love the wings. And they got TVs, and, kids like to go out. Hooters isn't that expensive. That's the other thing that's great about Hooters. Every divorced dad knows this. Hooters is not an expense. Like, you can have a nice meal and not kill yourself, right? Although, if I'm also being honest about Hooters, there is nothing good to eat at Hooters outside of the wings. A lot of people swear by the grouper sandwich, but too fishy for me. All right, so Hooters, it's all right to bring your kids now. Let's focus now. Yesterday, we did a little bit of North Texas focus when we talked about the dude who drove his Cybertruck into Lake Grapevine. Wanted to test out Wade mode. Jimmy Jack McDaniel. And do we know if Jimmy Jack McDaniel's still in? Let's find out. I wonder if the AI would have an answer for that. Again, we older folks, we embrace AI. Gen Z, nope. Hi, AI. Wondering, Jimmy Jack McDaniel, the 70-year-old North Texas man who drove his Cybertruck into Lake Grapevine, as of today, May the 21st, is he still in prison? Well, let's see. Let's check on Jimmy Jack. He was released. All right. The lake water. Okay, we got that. Jimmy Jack is out of prison. That's good. That big free concert we were going to do, that's we canceled. They released him. We were going to do a big free Jimmy Jack concert. So Frisco, that's what I wanted to do. Let's talk about Frisco. Frisco, Texas had that Jake Lang guy. I call him Maddie's boyfriend. Maddie's obsessed with this guy. I just assume leave him alone, but I just wanted to show him because it's Frisco. He showed up for a Frisco City Council meeting. And I'll tell you, man, this is like a thing, right? This is, everybody knows you can go viral if you act a fool at a City Council meeting. And so, people do it. Here's Jake Lang. Jake Lang is the guy who's been all over the country recently. He was up in Minnesota a couple of weeks ago. Remember the big riot broke out and they pinned him against the building and he got beat up and everybody's like, look at all the monsters beating up the Patriot. No, nobody was like that because even Patriots know, or the fake Patriots, even they know that Jake Lang is a bit of a troublemaker who then went down to Florida. He was accused, right? Doesn't he have like some child, like he was with some girl online and she was 14 and he apparently said, I know you're 14. Anyway, he's got that going on. Yeah, they all do. They all got some kind of ped thing happening. All right, so here it was. This is a Frisco. This is a Frisco City Council meeting, and Jake Lang showed up to protest the, what is he doing? What's he mad about? Some new mosque or something? I don't know. Here it is.
Marriage in Mensur Marudi, which is one of the religious texts, it suggests a 30-year-old man marry a 12-year-old woman, or a 24-year-old man is perfect for an 8-year-old girl. What the fuck is wrong with you? Inviting these people into our country. This is a Christian country. Name one of the signers of the Declaration.
You got to appreciate the smattering. The smattering. Did you hear that? That applause? That was smattering. That was a smattering of people who rode in the same vehicle as him. This is not some spontaneous reaction to this proud American finally saying what needs to be said to the Frisco City Council. Those are the people who are in charge of, ferrying him around because his driver's license is probably suspended.
For an 8-year-old girl. What the fuck is wrong with you? Inviting these people into our country. This is a Christian country. Name one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence that's a Hindu or Muslim.
Okay. All right. Attention, North Texas. Somebody's grandpa is kind of buying in. Somebody's grandpa here is like, yeah, well, he ain't wrong. Grandpa, what are you doing? You went viral, agreeing with Jake Lang.
You all deserve to be strong.
I mean, he really really does have serious Hitler energy, and he's bringing that on purpose. That's something that appeals to him, and he thinks it's an effective way to carry himself, and I think it sucks. If I lived in Texas, I would burn down these fucking mosques right now. That's what he's saying. So who to blame the next time a mosque burns down in Allen, Texas, or wherever? Look at these people. They know that this is a thing now, and they just got to sit there and keep their mouth shut and let these idiots have their time. And then if they don't leave after their time, then they can call the police in and clear the room. But they have to just sit here and put up with it. And I'm not sitting here advocating or trying to convince you that these people are somehow good people. I don't know. But what I am is I'm talking about the mindset of the average person who now sits on a city council in America. You just know. You're like, oh, God, there's going to be a couple of these a night. There's some regular people spontaneously reacting, telling him to get out.
If I lived in Texas, these mosques, they don't need your prayer. Burn the fucking ground. Are you kidding me? You're going to let these Hindu mosques and temples just be erected here? You're men. Act like men. Woo!
You're the guy that was crying. We have video of you crying from like 4 weeks ago and apologizing when, everybody closed in on you because you made a dumb choice to do an anti-protest against a protest that had like thousands of people. You were like 15 of you, and you were crying. We were begging to be let go. You bloodied face and tears. We saw that. No, I guess we didn't see that.
Burn the fucking ground. Are you kidding me? You're going to let these Hindu mosques and temples just be erected here? You're men. Act like men. Woo! Act like men.
All right. All right, there he is. Up there in Frisco. Now it's over to Stonebrier's food court to cruise for middle school girls. That's what he got into as soon as he left Frisco City Council chambers. Hey, where's a good place to look at hot middle school girls? Somebody said Stonebriar. Go to the ice rink. Here's another guy. Here's another guy who's delusional and thinks that the whole world is about him. And did you see this? This was in Washington. The halls, the corridors of Congress. The Artemis crew. Remember the Artemis crew?
Stop lying. Stop acting.
We already forget about that.
Space. Stop lying. Stop acting. We all never went to space. Follow Jesus. God's watching you all. Stop lying to the public. Your PSYOP isn't working on millions of us. NASA's a joke. Repent before God, y'all. I see through your lies. I know you never went to space.
Thank you, sir.
God's watching you all.
That's enough.
All right. So, what are these? Like if you do that, you're crazy. There's something wrong with you where you have deluded yourself into thinking that you need to be the spokesperson to uncover this for the masses, because I don't know. People who use terms like PSYOP in that way, they're fucking crazy. They're just crazy people. Are there organized manipulations, government level organized manipulation? Yeah. Since that goes all the way back to like the Revolutionary War. That's what propaganda is. Propaganda is a form of sort of organized, deliberate manipulation. But PSYOPs, for what purpose? What are we doing? I don't know. And here's another question. How did this dude get access like that? How is that dude? Can I just go to Washington, walk around the halls of Congress, and accost people of actual significance? Those are people of real significance. They did something really cool. Something that, he doesn't, I guess not to him, again, because that's the whole point. They're not real. Tonight is the final night of the Colbert Show. That's right. Remember, it was like over a year ago, I think, where CBS said, yeah, we're ending the Colbert Show. And everybody was like, Trump got him fired. No, they didn't. CBS just decided that they were going to cut ties with late night because late night was not a thing that CBS felt was good for their brand, especially now in these times of them merging with other companies and needing government approval in the specific government that we have. And what do we know about all the late night hosts, whether it's Colbert, Kimmel, or Fallon? They are some of the loudest critics of President Trump. So a year ago, CBS, seeing the whole Skydance Paramount kind of merger thing that we've just gone through, a year ago, CBS wanted to extend an olive branch to the administration, knowing full well that in a few months they were going to come to them with the whole Skydance Paramount mess. And so they announced that they were going to get rid of Colbert, a fierce critic of Trump. However, it wasn't firing him because Trump wanted him fired. It was his contract is up at the end of the year, and we at CBS are going to move out of late night. Why? Because late night's problematic. Because CBS is trying to do all kinds of things, and it doesn't matter. Once again, I point out, it doesn't matter if you're a CBS late night host. Late night talk show hosts stir the president. They make him mad. He gets angry at him, and CBS doesn't want to be in that game anymore. Maybe with a different president. No, but they won't, because here's the other problem with late night television. If you think Stephen Colbert is the first, he's not. He's not. Yeah, Jimmy Fallon's not going to be hosting that show for another 5 years. Neither is Jimmy Kimmel. All three networks are going to move in the direction that CBS is moving in, and not because of the same reasons. I believe the reason that CBS went first and made this move now were for business reasons. They had these big mergers that they knew were happening in the coming months, and they were going to need government approval, and they wanted to make sure that they were on the good side of this president. Is that the right way that things should be run? No. But is that how things have always been run? I'm pretty sure it has. It's just never been this blatant before, so we're reacting to it. So that's the reason that CBS made the move first. Why will NBC and ABC follow suit in the next couple of years? Simply because the late night talk show on network TV business model is broken. The business model that we currently operate under, the models that pay people like Colbert, Kimmel, and Fallon, were created or at least begun back in the days of late night network TV dominance. When Johnny Carson had 27 million viewers, well, I think that was his sign off. I think his nightly thing was about 20 million. So let's say Johnny Carson in 1980 on The Tonight Show, and he was the only game in town. There hadn't been other networks launching late night shows yet. But when Johnny was the king of it, he had 20 million nightly listeners, okay? And Johnny Carson was paid accordingly for somebody who had a nightly audience of 20 million people. That is the original king influencer. Johnny Carson is the original Jake Paul. Johnny Carson. So the business model of late night TV, when CBS got into the game, when ABC got into the game, and for a brief period of time when Fox got into the game of late night TV, they had to pay their hosts based on the Johnny Carson model. Johnny Carson couldn't be making in 1980 $5 million a year, which was probably huge money then. Johnny Carson couldn't be making $5 million a year. And then you try and get somebody to compete with Johnny, you got to pay that guy like $2-3 million a year. So that's how the business model got set. 20 million people tuned in every night to watch Johnny Carson, who was making $5 million a year. That was a crazy amount of money. Today in 2026, about 2.5 million people tune in. 2.5 million people tuned in every night to Stephen Colbert on the CBS Late Show. By the way, that's the number one show. Colbert has been number one for 11 years. I see a lot of people, they're chirping because disinformation is just what it is. A lot of people are saying, on Twitter, well, nobody's watching. The ratings is terrible. No, he's not. He wasn't terrible. He was dominating his competition. He was dominating. But the problem is that entire audience has shrunk. So it's not like the way it's being presented that Colbert had no audience because people didn't like Colbert. No, Colbert had a smaller audience than previous talk show hosts because people don't like talk show hosts anymore, because network late night talk shows now have more competition. People used to watch those shows because there was nothing to watch before you went to bed, but now you got YouTube. You can watch whatever you want before you go to bed. So the entire business model that says we have to pay these hosts extreme amounts of money is broken. Colbert was doing 3 million viewers a day. Colbert was not being paid like somebody who got 3 million viewers a day. Colbert was being paid like somebody who got 10 million viewers a show. So is Kimmel, and so is Fallon. And that's why I'm telling you, at some point, these other networks are going to go, these late night shows, they are only appealing to people over the age of 60. Those are the only people who still watch these shows because it's habit, and they're not habitually going to YouTube or smart TVs or apps or whatever. So the only people that are still watching this are people post 60, and those aren't people advertisers are interested in. People post 60, there is no commercial, there's no guy that's going to spend top flight money to reach a 63-year-old in Nebraska. They don't care. That 63-year-old already knows what kind of beer they drink, what kind of car they drive. They want to reach people in their 20s. So there is no big advertising money anymore for the demographics served by late night network TV. And these guys are all overpaid. So Stephen Colbert goes away tonight. He is the first, I believe, of the rest of them. The rest of them will go as well. Tonight's series finale of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert marks the complete retirement of the 33-year-old CBS late night franchise. The network is not replacing Colbert with a new host. Instead, the historic Ed Sullivan Studio will go dark. Excuse me. Will go dark, and syndicated programming will take over the time slot as of tomorrow. Yeah, they're giving us Byron Allen. They're leasing the time. Like, you know, like a radio station on a Saturday, right? They're leasing the time. This new thing isn't a CBS production. They're like, we're just going to go dark and let somebody else go in there and they can pay us to be in there. That's what they're doing now. And it's Byron Allen. It's going to be terrible. Comics Unleashed is not new. Comics Unleashed has been around for 40 years. It used to be on at like 3:00 in the morning on your UHF channel. But that's what CBS is doing. I guess it's a new revamped version of Comics Unleashed, but here we go. By the way, what is Colbert going to be doing? This is not a joke. Do you know what Stephen Colbert is going to immediately do? He is writing the new Lord of the Rings film for Peter Jackson. That's not a joke. Colbert is writing the new Lord of the Rings film. Colbert is super, super prolific as far a writer and creator and all. Want to hear a fun story? You want to hear a cool little pecking order of greatness there? You know, I'm a big fan of our local comedy training center, the Second City. Check this out. So this was the order of main stage performer and their understudy. So at the Second City, there is a main stage, and if you are on the main stage ensemble, you're one of the stars for that ensemble run. And every stage at Second City has an understudy. Look, this is so incredible. Check out this understudy train, okay? So it goes from Steve Carell, who we all know. Steve Carell's understudy was, let me start like this. Stephen Colbert, who's going off the air today. Stephen Colbert was an understudy for Steve Carell, who was an understudy for Chris Farley. Look at that. I mean, that is like, holy shit. That was like one after another. Like, imagine in 1990, before he went to Saturday Night Live, you wanted to go see this kid at Second City who was making everybody laugh, Chris Farley, and he wasn't there. You'd be like, this sucks. So instead you got Steve Carell. You probably didn't even realize that you were getting something just as good. You're getting Michael Scott from The Office and you don't even know it. Anyway. Tonight is the final episode of the CBS Late Show starring Stephen Colbert from the Ed Sullivan Studio there in New York City. It is going to be an extended episode. There is no runtime. Legitimately, CBS is saying, here's all we can tell you about how long the show's going to go. It's going to go longer than the normal 1 hour. So CBS, obviously, for those people who want to be acting like, oh, CBS really putting the screws to Colbert for being a Trump critic. No, CBS is like, stretch out, Stephen. Say goodbye. Do whatever you need to do. CBS is giving him a great big ramp here. The airtime for the finale, it starts tonight at 10:35 on CBS. It'll also be streamed live on Paramount. It is an extended format. CBS has officially designated this as an extended final episode of unknown length. While the network hasn't specified an exact time they expect it to end, it is confirmed to run well past the standard 11:35 cutoff. In a rare move, this is also something that's pretty cool. In a rare move of industry respect, rivals Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel have decided not to do live shows today, allowing for everyone to tune into the Colbert goodbye. It says here, Fallon and Kimmel are benching their program. Both The Tonight Show and Kimmel Live will air reruns tonight so viewers can watch Colbert's final bow without any unnecessary competition. Secret lineups of guests. A lot of people wondering who are going to be the big guests. He's had big guests all week. So I don't know. We've already done the Jon Stewart thing, right? That was earlier in the week. I haven't seen any of these, by the way. I will be watching tonight because I do think it's culturally significant. But, I haven't been watching all week. I didn't even see Bruce yesterday. My guy Bruce was on yesterday, and I didn't even see that. It says here, CBS and the show's producers have refused to announce a single guest for tonight's final episode to maintain the absolute surprise. Because the final week featured blockbuster talent like Jon Stewart, Steven Spielberg, Bruce Springsteen, and David Byrne, rumors are swirling about massive unannounced cameos. Fans are speculating appearances from frequent guests or political heavyweights such as Barack Obama and Joe Biden, or a final symbolic handoff in some way involving Late Show founder David Letterman. Viewers can expect a highly emotional sign-off, a heavy retrospective look at Colbert's 11-year run, and plenty of signature musical or comedy bits. I'll tell you this. I'm a big Stephen Colbert fan. Not a fan of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. The CBS thing that he's been doing for the past 11 years, I've probably only seen a handful of episodes because I don't watch late night TV. I've never seen an episode of Jimmy Fallon's Tonight Show. Never, because I don't like Jimmy Fallon and I don't like late night talk shows. The only reason I would have checked on Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert is because I think both those guys are funny. I like both those guys. Fallon, I think, is a creep. Anyway, let's see. And then it goes into a whole bunch of reasons and speculation, but we don't need to deal with that. All right, there you have it. I'll be watching tonight, though. I'll be watching tonight. We'll see what the big surprises are. Let's see here. What else do we have? Oh, what? Here, we'll do this. All right. Let's go ahead. Let's check on our new masters, okay? These are a couple of videos, one after another that I found yesterday that I wanted to show you. I think this doesn't bode well for our future. As fun as this may be. All right, so robots are all in the robots are everywhere. Cool robot videos, the technology and the things that they're able to do just getting better and better. Next step, let's arm them. Let's arm these things and just let them roam around our city squares. Here we go. Here's our future overlords. Like I say, let's give them weapons. God damn it! He's gonna have an AI brain that is smarter than 50 of the smartest people in history, and he's gonna be well armed. And this is gonna happen sometimes. Can I point something out? Why is he wearing a 2-pack do-rag? Yes, he's wearing a Pac do-rag. And then, as soon as he goes down, the do-rag explodes and falls off his head. All right, there you have it. Those are our robot overlords. New segment. We're calling it Give Them Guns. That's what this new segment is. Let's give these guys guns. Let's just see what happens. Let's fire all the cops and then just let's hire a bunch of these. All right, here's another one. It's another one of these guys that we're going to. Next step, well armed. That's the next step for this one. This guy's doing some dancing. That's right. They can dance too. They don't just run marathons with Tupac do-rags on. They also dance. Oh, jeez. Oh, nice. Got it. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Woo. Come on now. Yeah. Jump. God damn it. I just shut him down. This guy, somebody hit a kill switch as soon as he didn't make it up the stairs. Somebody went, hit a kill switch, and that thing just stopped. Let's watch one more time. I will say this. Pretty impressed how this is like when I walk across an icy parking lot, you start to slip in the like he almost bailed very early on and he recovered nicely. It was just those pesky steps that caused him to there he goes. Can I just say he seems very cocky, doesn't he? I mean, I know he's a robot and he can't really have that sort of thing. He seems very cocky. That's why I'm kind of enjoying watching him fall. Seems like a very cocky robot. Ready? Okay. Nice. Yeah. Oh, jeez. That's unfortunate. That's why none of us are going to have jobs. That's why none of us have jobs. That's why no kids are ever going to have jobs. Those things are going to take over everything. It's a new segment. Give them guns. Let's give them guns. It's a new segment. All right. And we're going to end today. Well, actually, two more things. These are both falling under the category of can't be fun at the old ballpark. Let's see what this one is. We've been doing this the last couple of days. Examples of people behaving poorly at baseball games. Oh, I like this one. Hold on. This is a good one. I don't know how to make it. Hold on. I hate using content from Facebook. Everything about Facebook is more difficult. Like, how do I rewind this? How do I hit play? How do I make it bigger? I hate this. Anyway, watch this. Fun at the old ballpark. No sound. Can't even hear a sound. Oh, there we go. Oh, I love it.
Oh, that's why you bring your glove too. Oh, look at that.
How you do it?
That's heartwarming.
That is so sweet.
Watch it one more time.
That's
I have no idea how to back it up.
Ball.
How do I back that? See, I don't know how to back it up. There is no.
And that girl has the Jake Mangum jersey on and wants to make sure.
Found her.
Look at that.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, that's why you bring your glove too. Oh, look at that.
That young man knows what he's doing. That's how you do it. Look at it. They're like comparable age, but that young man, even in that moment, knows. You give it to the girl. He was trying to throw it to the girl. She's wearing the jersey of the guy that's got that. Was very nice. Very well behaved. All right. Part 2 of today's Can't Be Fun at the Old Ballpark. I need to address something, and this is a bit more of a local tip here, although it is a national sports story, but it's a national baseball sports story, and, so very limited appeal. Guys, I'm pretty sure that the Chicago White Sox broke Pete Crow Armstrong. Pete Crow Armstrong, who we talked about, the baseball world's been talking about it for days. Pete Crow Armstrong, the superstar center fielder for the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs played their crosstown rival White Sox over the weekend. They lost the series 2-1. And Pete Crow Armstrong, during Sunday's loss, Pete Crow Armstrong famously, virally, got into it with a female White Sox fan who was having her engagement party in the bar that is attached to center field. When did we start doing that? When do we? Because I don't know when we started doing it, but now that I'm thinking back of being like 10 years old at White Sox game, there was always a place in that same thing called the Saloon. So I think they've had a bar down there forever. But anyway, this chick, she's like 5 mimosas deep, right? It's like the 6th, 7th inning. She's feeling herself. And Pete Crow Armstrong, who is, it's important that I say this, Pete Crow Armstrong is one of the finest defensive outfielders in all of baseball. He has proven that over the course of his 4-year career. His bat, when his bat is hot or when he's dialed in, is, again, one of the best bats in all of baseball. He should be a superstar, but he's not. He's not. Cub fans will tell you that he is. Cub fans will be like, the 3 greatest players in baseball are Mike Trout, Shohei, and Pete Crow Armstrong. And I think a lot of other people in baseball are like, yeah, not yet. I mean, he's got potential and he's very promising and he's exciting and all that, but not yet. I mean, come on, Cub fans. And because we Sox fans live in the same city, we're probably the most vocal about pushing back on the, they've already anointed him a Hall of Famer, right? So White Sox fans are like, guys, slow down. He's good, but so the fans gave it to Pete Crow Armstrong at the game on Sunday, and this one woman who was having her engagement party told him that he sucked after he went up for a home run ball or a ball off the wall. It went off the wall. It didn't even go out of the park. So theoretically, the great center fielder should have caught it, but he didn't. It was a bad play. It was a bad defensive play by a guy who 9.9 times out of 10 will probably make that catch. But he didn't make it this time. And he was right there with drunk mimosa girl. And she went, you suck, like the minute it happened. Oh, just a chain link fence. That's the only thing that's separating these two. And she's like, you suck. Of course, this became a big story, not because a fan said something to a player, but because the player chirped back. And the big discussion has been, does he have a right to chirp back? To which I say, yeah, he absolutely does. He can chirp back in a million different ways. The problem is the way he chose to chirp back. And Pete Crow Armstrong told this fan to suck his fat D. Okay? That's the whole problem. That's the whole, no apologies. You know, he needs to apologize for crossing the line, for like going nuclear. That was a little bit too much. That wasn't really proportionate, dude. You know what you should have said? Yeah, you suck. You should have said, yeah, you suck. And so does your team. We're winning the World Series this year, lady. And then just go on. But he didn't. He exposed a side of himself that a lot of the critics of Pete Crow Armstrong have been pointing out forever. And that is that Pete Crow Armstrong appears to be emotionally immature and mentally fragile. When he goes into a slump, he goes into a real slump and he can't seem to get out of it. So this incident occurred at the White Sox game on Sunday, and it became a whole big blow up. And the very next day, Pete Crow Armstrong was interviewed locally, and he was great. His apology, not even apology. Like people are like, you didn't apologize to her. Well, let me tell you something. They don't need to apologize to each other. Stop making up rules. Okay. This has been going on in baseball for 100 years. Fans shout shit and players shout shit back. Hopefully they don't cross the line like Pete did. You know, they probably have in the past, but in the past when Willie Mays was talking shit, people didn't have phones recording everything, right? So it's different. So Pete Crow Armstrong has to be aware of that, and he got caught. He apologized, didn't apologize to her. Like, again, he doesn't need to apologize. What he needs to apologize for is for crossing the line and for what that does to his image, an image that he has tirelessly sort of promoted as he's Pete Crow Armstrong of the kids, of youth baseball, of, you know, they're all following him. He's like the Pied Piper. Every Chicago Cub kid that's 10 got a Pete Crow Armstrong jersey. That's who he is. And when he apologized to them, and he apologized to the women in his life. And he was criticized because why didn't he apologize to the woman? He said it because he doesn't have to, okay? He doesn't have to. Let's not start that. All right, this is what fans and jocks do. They jaw back and forth. You suck. Hey, about a swing. So stop it. He doesn't have to apologize directly to her. He does need to address that a lot of us felt that he crossed over a line, that he went a little nuclear, and that for people like me, that is just a glaring example of the emotional immaturity that he has. The kind of thing that will stop him from ever being what Cub fans think he already is. And that contrition and the sincerity and the authenticity that he showed the day after the incident won me over. I like Pete Crow Armstrong. I'm like, good for you, kid. All right, now walk it off and let's go. Here's the problem. Ever since then, Pete Crow Armstrong has been terrible. Pete Crow Armstrong, the example of emotional immaturity was him responding with "suck my DB." That's an example of the emotional immaturity. But now we're seeing an example of the mental fragility. That's Pete Crow Armstrong. He struck out yesterday during the Cubs had to play the Milwaukee Brewers. The Milwaukee Brewers are their arch rivals. The Chicago White Sox might be 6 miles away, but the Brewers are like 40. Like they're just across the border. So arch rivals, same division. Cubs really needed to get a couple of wins here, at least split the 4-game series. And they didn't. They got swept. Right? Or maybe a 3-game series. They got swept. And they got swept. Pete Crow Armstrong, their big superstar. Last night I'm watching the game. He got called out on strikes. The bat never left his shoulder. He just stood there like the whole time. There is something wrong with Pete Crow Armstrong since the incident at White Sox Park. The lady broke him. By the way, here's a little fun AI thing of the girl. This is going around. Look, please forgive me, Cub fans, but it's kind of funny. Oh, actually, no, this isn't the same thing. Where's the AI girl? Hold on. Yeah, well, I guess I don't have the AI girl. Anyway, there's something pretty funny going around of an. It's the girl. It's the whole situation, except AI did its thing. And now she's putting a curse on him. She's like, "You will never be good again." And she like does an AI curse. It's the same video. I don't know how AI does it. It's pretty great though. But here, watch this. This is the last 2 nights. Remember, Pete Crow Armstrong. So remember, Pete Crow Armstrong is one of the best defensive center fielders in all of baseball. This whole thing started with the "you suck" after he jumped for a ball at the warning track, misjudged the jump. The ball went off the wall. He probably could have caught it. Not many others would, but the Pete Crow Armstrong, who's the greatest center fielder in baseball, and he should have caught that, but he didn't. So that's where it started. That's where this great defender started. By the way, he's also like 4 for 40 in like his last. I think he hit a home run against the White Sox. I think it was maybe like the last thing. So watch this. This is 2 games in a row. Again, the best defensive center fielder in baseball, some people like to say.
Frelick drills that one out towards right center field, and PCA. Oh my goodness, it's off his glove.
All right, one more time. Greatest center fielder in baseball, Cub fans will tell you. And I don't push back on that. I think he's truly talented.
That one out towards right center field, and PCA. Oh my goodness, it's off his glove.
What compounds this is the biggest and most important series of the year for the Chicago Cubs. These are the Milwaukee Brewers, who are in first place. Cubs were in first place. Cubs won 10 games in a row this season. Twice already. The Cubs have won 10 games in a row this season. Twice already. They were running away with first place 10 days ago. And now they've been passed by the Milwaukee Brewers, and everything seems to be falling apart. And it all seems to stem from Pete Crow Armstrong's interaction with that girl at Comiskey Park on Sunday.
Frelick drills that one out towards right center field, and PCA. Oh my goodness, it's off his glove. And Frelick into second.
All right, so that was Tuesday in the biggest game of the year against the Brewers. So here we go to Wednesday in the biggest game of the year again against the Brewers.
Line drive, base hit out into center field. And it gets under PCA. In to score is Frelick. Ortiz on his heels. Hamilton can absolutely fly. He's coming to the plate, and he's in.
I mean, I feel sorry for him because I don't think he's a bad guy, and I think he's obviously going through something. But again, I lean back on what I've said about him for at least he pouted about something last year. By the way, I say this about Luka Doncic too. I think that Luka Doncic falls into the same category. Luka Doncic ain't ever going to win a title until he gets a little bit more mentally sound, a little bit more. He's a little too fragile. The way he's always arguing and he's always like pushing back, and people will tell you that that is passion, but not when it's supposed to come from your leader. All right, Michael Jordan wasn't like that. Michael Jordan was passionate with his own players and all that, but he wasn't like emotionally fragile in the moment. Michael Jordan's emotionally fragile in every other regard all the time, but not as a player. So I think Luka's a lot like Pete Crow Armstrong. All right, there you have it. We've seen the examples. He is obviously mentally fragile and emotionally immature because that has rattled him. You know, I had this, where'd the video go? Oh, here, I'll show you this. I'll show you this because I feel like, you know, I've got a lot of friends who I love. My mom's husband is a Cub fan, and I'm not of the mindset any longer to be like Mr. Anti-Cub, right? I don't like the organization. That's fine because they're the, you know, opposite of my organization. They're the big, rich, fancy, handsome older brother to my, you know, dirt baggy, underperforming White Sox. That's sort of what we White Sox fans carry around with us when we're fans of the White Sox in the city of Chicago. But I don't like Cub fans very much because they're not nice. Like they're entitled, and it's funny that, you know, I'd call them entitled because the Cubs have one of the most embarrassing histories in Major League Baseball. But so do the White Sox to that extent. But, you know, the Cubs brand was lovable losers for the first 45 years, 50 years of my life. And now all of a sudden we're supposed to treat them like they're the Cardinals or the Yankees. I don't think so. So that's one of my big problems with the Cubs. I don't hate them, right? You know, like here's something like, I'm going to go to a Cubs game this year. I'm going to go to a Cubs game and I'm going to root for the Cubs. And I've got it set up in a way that'll be perfectly acceptable. And I'm going to take my kid. I want to take my kid to Wrigley. We've been to Wrigley before. We went to Wrigley to root for the Cardinals because, you know, his mom is from St. Louis and she's a big Cardinals fan. And so he's got a Cardinal loyalty too. So we went once for the Cardinals and then we went for a Cubs Sox game. But we're going to go. It's my birthday. I'm going to get tickets for my birthday. It is my birthday. And we're going to go to the Cubs. I think it's my birthday. Oh, wait, maybe I'm not. Because there were 3 dates. Wait, what was the one for my birthday? Doesn't matter. Anyway, the game that I decided that I'm going to go to because it's going to allow me to openly root for the Chicago Cubs is going to be when the Detroit Tigers come in to take on the Cubs. When the Tigers come and play at Wrigley, I will go to Wrigley and I will root against the Tigers because my White Sox, you know, we don't like the Tigers. So I will go to Wrigley and I will root against the Tigers and I'll be able to, with a clear conscience, root for the Cubs without necessarily betraying my White Sox, right? That's a plan. That's what we're going to do. All right. Let me show you something cool, though. Oh, here's the yeah, I'm sorry. Oh, so here it is. I found that. I'll show this to you. Right, the AI version of the White Sox lady, like yelling at Trump, or not Trump, at PCA. Here, watch.
Go Sox! I broke PC AAA just by telling him he sucks. And go Sox. Go Sox. I broke PC AAA just by telling him he sucks. And go Sox.
By the way, you know what the most fun part of this chick is, which is why I absolutely love her and call her the Khaleesi of Comiskey? That person standing next to her in the Cubs uniform is the guy she just got engaged to. This is Cubs Sox. She is the most hated woman in Cubdom They fucking hate her. That she's gotten off Twitter. She's canceled all of her socials. She's being persecuted and she's marrying a Cub fan. So dial it back, people. It ain't that serious.
I broke PC AAA just by telling him he sucks.
There you go. Go Sox. That's right. Hold on, but there was a different one that I wanted to watch. Okay, I'm looking for. Hold on. So weird. Maybe I can't find it. Maybe I can. Oh, yeah, okay, here it is. Check this out, man. You know, as much as I hate the Chicago Cubs, I am a Chicagoan, and I am proud of my city, and I do like when cool shit, so I can admit this. Look at this. This is from last night's Cubs game. Now, the Cubs played a rare sunset game. You know, the Cubs typically will play at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, or they'll play at night. It is rare that the Cubs will play a game that starts at like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But when they do, especially if the weather is nice, and like yesterday, we saw the picture of the beautiful sunset and the city caught inside the sunset. It was just an absolutely gorgeous evening last night. So last night's Cubs game, man, I don't even like to watch the Cubs on TV, but I watched a good 4 innings last night just simply because of how beautiful it made the place where I live look. Check this out. Now, I make a lot of fun of Wrigley Field. I think Wrigley Field is an absolutely terrible place to watch a baseball game. It's cramped and it smells like piss, and I don't know. But I cannot complain about the neighborhood, the area. The way that the Cubs have their stadium, no parking lot, not like, no tailgating because there's no parking lot. It's just a baseball stadium in the middle of the neighborhood. On a night like tonight, last night, it just looks so beautiful. Look at this. This is a drone shot of Wrigleyville yesterday while the game was going on. This one's probably from like 4:30, 5 o'clock, but check this out. It's just beautiful. I mean, they've really made this old-timey notion in the middle of a neighborhood with no parking lot, no, they made it work. This whole area right here, this used to be like a street or something with a fake diamond. It's just beautiful. They've done a great job. Can't root for the team, but it's better than my park. I'll just leave it at that. It's better than my park. What a day. Chicago, no better city in the summertime. That's what I think. I put that poll up on Twitter today because I started to just get very excited about the summer. Summer's coming. My kid's going to be here. It's going to be broke-ass summer. Like, we're going to be really broke, and it's going to be hard to make our bills, but we're going to have fun because it's going to be nice. We're going to hang out together, and we're going to do free stuff. And what a great city to be able to do free stuff. I was talking about it last night, and somebody said to me, yeah, you know what? Chicago might be America's best summer city. And that's just because we have so much going on. I mean, first of all, we are basically the summer festival capital of America. There's so many music festivals every weekend. Every weekend, downtown is closed again because they're expecting 150,000 people for Lollapalooza, or then there's Country Fest and Blues Fest and Riot Fest. Oh my God. Anyway, there's all these things always going on, plus two baseball teams anchoring both sides of town. So anyway, the weather is really what it's all about. We don't get too hot. It's not like Texas. I love Texas. Probably where I'll die. But man, I'll tell you, there ain't nothing worse than Texas in July or August. It's awful. You walk outside and it's like God is holding a hairdryer on you. It's terrible. Chicago, and a nice summer day is like 86 and sunny. We get to be 90 and we're like, all right. Don't even need air. It's just nice. It's nice. There's a breeze. The evenings are nice. It's just, there's stuff to do. Anyway. So I posted that I think Chicago is easily the best summer city in America. And I had to, because it was like among big cities. I'm like, you gotta have at least 1 million people, okay? Don't come at me like Bozeman, Montana in July. I'm sure it's awesome, okay? But we're talking about, Philadelphia, Chicago, New York. The problem with all the East Coasts that have the 4 seasons, their summers aren't great because of the horrible humidity. And like New York City is horribly humid, and it's no idea why that happened. We just got bumped off. All right, we got bumped off for a second. So anyway, I mentioned Chicago, and a friend of mine said, look, I want to say Chicago too, but can we talk a little bit about Milwaukee? And I went, God damn it. Holy crap. Milwaukee might be incrementally better than Chicago as a summer city. Anyway, it might be. Milwaukee's pretty great. I don't think there's a better place in the summer in the world than Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin is it. That is. Let's get up to Wisconsin this summer somehow, some way. I don't know how we managed that. But anyway, yeah, my kid's coming. Summer's here. School is out today or tomorrow? I should probably know that. Well, whatever. All right, love you guys. We'll be back tomorrow. It's like this. I don't know why this bothers me. This is, why I'm such a complicated individual. Maybe I'm the one that's emotionally immature, because even though I just said this exact same thing, it fucking angered me. It angered me to hear Adam say it. I was like, seriously, I read that. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm like, well, he's right. He's right. He's absolutely right. Thank you. This is exactly what I thought. The girl who said you suck to Pete Crow Armstrong, she has been run off social media. She doesn't want to be famous and all that stuff, but I immediately thought that's the opposite of what she should do. She needs to lean into social media. Apparently she's got a good job. Apparently she's got a good job, and the attention wouldn't be, she doesn't need to be the Hawk Tua girl, Barney, as I've learned, because apparently, the Hawk Tua girl didn't really have much of a career, so she needed to just strike. Not this one. Apparently this woman has something to lose, so she's like, okay, I'm going to back off it. But yeah, great plan, man. Seriously, Barney, you and I thinking alike. I'm like, gee, she should have leaned into it. Peter says that her and Kim, they loved the week in Milwaukee that they spent last year. They went to Summerfest. See, that's why when my friend said, well, what about Milwaukee? I went, oh, man, because Summerfest is pretty awesome. Summerfest is the original municipal summer music festival. Like I know people are like, no, like 1971, Milwaukee was the first city who said every summer, let's invite 20 bands to all play at once. It's Milwaukee. They invented it. Every city had New Orleans Jazz Fest. Sorry, Milwaukee was the first municipality to do it. And they did it in a stupid way because they were first. What Milwaukee did was they used this concept of being this summer music capital on the lake as a way to build this massive fairground on the lakefront. So the Milwaukee County Fairground now right there on the lakefront was funded basically because they promised that they would not only be having the Wisconsin State Fair and all that kind of stuff, but they would have this annual summer event that would bring untold billions into Milwaukee. And that, of course, became Summerfest. Or if you're like me, we call it Mocky Fest. Let's go to Mocky Fest. Mocky Fest is fun. Who did you see? Peter, who did you guys see at Milwaukee? I'm sorry, at Summerfest. Call it what it is. Who did you guys see at Summerfest? I'm trying to think of who have I seen. I've seen, I saw Night Ranger. We're going back. It's not like I saw Night Ranger 10 years ago. I saw Night Ranger like 40 years ago when, there were 40,000 of us wanting to hear Sister Christian for the first time. This song bangs. I saw Night Ranger. I saw the band Chicago. I saw Air Supply. Not by choice. I was just there. I think I saw Van Halen. I don't know. I don't know when I saw Van Halen, if that was just a Van Halen concert or if that was part of Summerfest. Anyway, Summerfest is cool. Barney says, I got a good job too, but if I could sell 1 million you suck hats, I'm doing it. The wise man. He is right. But in the moment, I don't know if you're thinking that way. I think in the moment, you're looking at your Twitter handle and, you know, it's got a whole bunch of people going, we found out where you work. You know, I don't know if you immediately, but you're right, Barney. You're absolutely right. She could have used some good advice. And I don't think she got the good advice. I think she got the advice that seemed appropriate in the moment. She didn't get advice that was going to serve her after the moment. Although she could always jump back in. Adam says, I love Chicago and Denver in the summer. Denver is amazing too. I've never been to Denver in the summer, but I do have a sneaking suspicion that Denver's pretty awesome in the summer. Okay, so when Peter went to Milwaukee, sorry, Summerfest, I call it Milwaukee Fest. When Peter went, by the way, KB in the chat room, Kevin in the chat room. Kevin and I used to go to Milwaukee Fest every summer. Peter says he saw Cake Modern English. Cake and Modern English. All right. I got nothing else. All right, guys, let's be done. I've got stuff I've got to do here. It is 2:37. I gave you a bonus 37 minutes. That's good. Because today when I started, I'm like, I might not even get him 2 hours because I didn't have a whole lot. But you and I made the time pass like the blink of an eye, and I appreciate you. What's wrong with me? I'm not even on any pills or anything. I just don't have any way to get out of this. So I'll just say this. See you tomorrow at noon. Love you. Bye.